course, I'm not seeing anything too clearly right now, am I? I mean, how could I, after 21 years of ironing your shirts and typing your papers and smiling incessantly at faculty teas and wheeling magazines around the hospitals, performing miracles with star-kissed tuna, cheering an ever-changing blur of students through their baseball, their basketball, their hockey, their basketball, and their baseball, and their hockey, and their football, and their basketball. Season after season, nothing ever changes. And then suddenly, you're Baroque, and I'm apparently early American.
Shirley MacLaine and Anthony Hopkins going through a midlife crisis and a change of seasons. That's one of the new holiday movies we'll be reviewing on this edition of Sneak Previews. Two critics talking about the new movies in town. And across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, the film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And this is Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to a change of seasons, which includes the second screen appearance by Bo Derek, our holiday movie list continues with Neil Simon's Seems Like Old Times, starring Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase. Also, Ellen Burstyn as a special kind of faith healer in Resurrection, a wonderful new movie that's had some trouble at the box office. But first, Roger begins with a film that a lot of people have been eagerly awaiting, songwriter Neil Diamond's movie debut in The Jazz Singer.
I'm afraid they've been eagerly awaiting in vain, Gene. It's one of the Christmas season's worst movies for sure. This new Neil Diamond version of The Jazz Singer is a modern-day remake of the 1927 movie, which starred Al Jolson, was the first commercially successful talking picture. Well, what nobody seems to remember is that the 1927 movie was pretty bad. It was a hit because it had a new gimmick, sound. And I'm afraid this 1980 remake is so much worse, it might have benefited from the introduction of silence. The new movie stars popular singer Neil Diamond playing a third-generation New York Jewish cantor who wants to leave his father's synagogue and try to make it big in the Los Angeles music scene. Laurence Olivier plays his father.
You must come home with me now, before you forget everything you were ever born to be. Yes, sir! Stop! Come on!
Please, for once in your life, would you listen to me? I know what you believe. I've tried to live up to it, Pop. I swear I've tried to live up to it, but I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Pop, I have things inside of me. I have to express them. I have my music. I have my life, my feelings. Maybe they come from God, too. I don't know. I do know I have to do it my own way.
Does finding your own way include leaving your wife?
What did she say to you?
She didn't have to say anything. You here, she there, 3 months. Man and wife, that's no good.
Pop, we're getting a divorce.
A divorce?
She wants it, too. It happens to people every day, Pop.
People, yes, but not a boy and girl who grew up together. Why? Yes, sir. Why?
Laurence Olivier is one of the great English-speaking actors. I wish he'd try an English accent again. One of the problems with that scene and with the whole movie is that Neil Diamond is too old to be going through an adolescent identity crisis. There's never a single moment when we can really believe the reality of his relationship with his father, his first wife, his girlfriend, or anybody. It's all been packed up from the original movie and unpacked in this one without much thought. And Neil Diamond is certainly not a good enough actor to sell us on the story. He never comes alive in this movie. He's so closed up in himself he can rarely even look the other actors in the eyes, always playing to their third shirt button. Look at this scene with Lucy Arnaz as the music agent he meets in Los Angeles.
If I don't get that call from Bubba, I'm going home.
Look, he'll call, and he'll get you that job, and I promise you I will get Eddie Gibbs to be there.
I don't know, it's getting late.
I know how to get you to stay. I'll give you my body. Hello? Hello again. I just offered you my body.
I heard.
Would you rather have a pizza?
He doesn't even know she's in the room. Some people might think it's worth going to see The Jazz Singer for Neil Diamond's songs and his concert scenes in the movie, but I'm sorry, I didn't even like the songs. They all sounded like variations of the same narcissistic complaint about the cruelty of the universe, the wonderful courage of Neil Diamond, groan, groan, bravery, bravery. What I did like about the movie was Lucy Arnaz as the California girl he falls in love with. Her performance is filled with energy and scenes of humor, and in this film, that really makes it stand out. On the whole, The Jazz Singer is a major disappointment. I hated Neil Diamond, but I loved Lucy.
Well, I agree with you up and down the line. And what Lucy Arnaz does that makes her so enjoyable is play a character. Neil Diamond does not play a character. Neil Diamond, a first-time actor, remains a first-time actor.
Last time.
In his next act, he hasn't done anything here. He's just played Neil Diamond. The part isn't written. He doesn't perform it. We don't believe this is some kid from New York struggling to make it big in Hollywood. We realize that what we're going to see is Neil Diamond walk through a movie and sing some big songs, and that's all there is to the part. Lucy Arnaz surprises me. She has a good movie future, I think, because she alone, better than Diamond, better than even Laurence Olivier, has enough confidence to be quiet, to play a role. She cares about this guy, and her eyes show it. Olivier's ham-handed in this film. Neil Diamond is too.
You know, what's funny, after they went to all this trouble to remake this 1927 movie, the story that had to be told again, they never told it again.
Yes.
It really is, as you say, just a Neil Diamond movie. There's one scene where he's the opening act for a stand-up comic. And he goes on stage. There must be 35 musicians out there. It's probably a $50,000 payroll just for 2 songs for his first billing in Los Angeles. You can't believe that.
No.
There's another scene where he goes on the road for 9 months as a country and western singer, a la Chris Christopherson. I guess that's just to put some country music into the movie. I don't know. It's always Neil Diamond. It's never the character. It's never the story.
Yes, and we always are aware that it's the music that is selling and determining the way the movie will look. Here's another disappointing holiday film. It's Neil Simon's Seems Like Old Times, a screwball comedy with Goldie Hawn caught between the antics of her 2 husbands. Her former husband, Chevy Chase, has been kidnapped and forced to help some thieves rob a bank. And her current husband, Charles Grodin, has just been nominated by the governor of California to be Attorney General of the state. Now, naturally, Chevy Chase, wanted for robbery, decided to hide out in Goldie Hawn's house, causing all sorts of embarrassing problems for her and Grodin, especially on the night of her big dinner party at which the governor is the guest of honor.
Would you all excuse me for a moment? Would you all excuse me for a moment?
Would you all excuse me for a moment?
Peculiar time to go to the John.
Ira, he came here to give himself up.
The man sleeps under my bed, drives my car, wears my tuxedo. I just want to meet him.
Hold her right there. You're under arrest.
Police are on their way.
Didn't like the chicken, huh?
Nick, this is Ira, my husband.
Ira?
Nick.
Oh, of course. We've met before. You and Glenda were in the bed above me.
Yes, I know.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Who's gonna serve the coffee now?
I think you've unraveled, Glenda. I think your spool is unwinding. Let's just get through the dinner. We'll worry about him later.
Chester, take care of him.
Sorry.
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 Is it time for the second group to go?
Glenda, you want to explain it?
You rang, madam?
Oh, brother, it's all so forced, so predictable. A gag here, a gag there, Chevy Chase falling down again and again. The characters aren't fresh. And unlike the screwball comedies of the 30s and 40s, those grand old films which constantly astonished us with their comic inventions, there's very little that's surprising or off the wall in this movie. Seems like Old Times is more like a TV situation comedy, with Goldie Hawn predictably expressing shock with her wide eyes, Chevy Chase doing his pratfalls, and Charles Grodin acting as always like a stuffed shirt. Absolutely no surprises here, and that's fatal to a comedy.
Once again, we're in agreement. I was really disappointed by this film, and by this whole Christmas season, with a few exceptions.
Yeah.
You get these movies that come in, they have the great title, the Neil Simon over the title, the
Good
great
cast. Yeah.
You think this could be funny. You walk in, there are a couple of laughs, you're all set up, and then it's just the machine turning out the jokes. The characters, they're all pre-programmed. You know exactly what the permutations are. Yeah. It's very boring, very
I think your use of
disappointing.
the word machine is a good one, and the machine, I'm afraid, is Neil Simon. Frankly, I think Neil Simon's in serious trouble. He hasn't made a film, I don't know about you, but he hasn't made a film that I've liked, a full-length film in a long, long time, early 70s. And the last chunk of a film that I liked was that one with Maggie Smith,
California Suite
right,
with Michael Caine.
And that was
yeah.
just a little chunk in a movie.
I think he missed a bet here, for example, when he brings that governor in. It's just George Grizzard. He could be the governor of any state in any movie in the last 50 years. Why not go for the obvious joke? They're in California, bring in a Jerry Brown type, have him be kind of hip, you know, and he's wondering what's going on in the kitchen. That could have been a little funnier, but no, this is all so predictable.
That's the word. You just sit there and you're amazed that there are no surprises.
Well, I'm afraid the show is not going to go uphill from here. Remember that crummy movie from last October called Loving Couples, where Shirley MacLaine found out that her husband was cheating on her with a younger woman, and so she went out and decided to have an affair with a younger man. You remember that? Well, for some reason, Shirley MacLaine has made a second crummy movie on the very same subject. It's called A Change of Seasons, and this time, her husband is played by Anthony Hopkins. Hopkins is a college professor who has an affair with one of his students, played by Bo Derek, and then MacLaine, his long-suffering wife, has an affair with a hippie handyman, played by Michael Brandon. They all pretend to be real, liberated, cool, and open-minded about the whole thing, and in fact, both swinging couples take a winter vacation together in the scene where Hopkins and MacLaine trade nasty remarks while they wait for their lovers.
It's not too late.
You talking to me?
Who else would I be talking to, Adam?
It's not too late.
We could call the whole thing off.
Getting cold feet?
I'm not, but you seem less than joyful.
I've never felt more joyful.
Well, we could go alone, like we usually do.
What about Davy Crockett?
Pete. You'd understand. How about little Lulu?
The name is Lindsay Rutledge. She'd probably be very upset, and because unlike you, she happens to love me.
I love you, too.
You have a very strange way of showing it.
What am I supposed to do? Like Dante, you have somehow moved to a higher circle of paradise.
I get it.
Morning!
It's for you.
I know.
Good morning.
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 Cold hand?
I have a warm heart.
You park your Huskies good?
Actually, I have a pickup.
Hi, come in.
Hello, Karen.
Hello.
Lindsay Rutledge, hi.
Lindsay Rutledge. Well, it's so wonderful to meet you.
I've been wanting to meet you for a long time.
Is that a fact? Why is that?
We have so much in common.
What?
Adam.
Yes, Adam is common.
Ha ha ha, very funny.
He's like this in the morning. I'm sorry. Of course, you know that already.
Hi, I'm Pete.
Lindsay Rutledge, hi.
Hiya.
He's very nice.
Him? Sure he is. Terrific.
No four human beings in the entire history of the world, in the entire history of the human race, in that situation ever said anything like that.
Yep.
A Change of Seasons is a completely ridiculous movie in which everybody stands around in the middle of impossible scenes like that one, trying to survive that awful dialogue in one piece. People don't talk like that. This movie is being promoted with a hot tub scene showing Bo Derek in the nude. Well, that scene is in the first 3 minutes of the film. It is the first 3 minutes of the film, and it has nothing to do with anything else in the movie. All it proves is that Bo Derek looks great when she's all wet and jumping up and down in a hot tub. Well, since she already proved that she looks great all wet in her first movie, 10, I think it's time she moved on to greater acting challenges.
Well, as you point out, since there's nothing else in the movie, let's deal with that Bo Derek issue right away. You know, this reminds me of a time I went to a carnival in Indiana, and they had a big sign out in front that said, "The man with the world's largest foot." You walk in, you pay your quarter or whatever it is, there he is, and you walk right out, and bang, it's over before it happens. So people are going to get roped into this picture, see Bo Derek nude again, it's over in 3 minutes, and you're gone. I mean, this is a classic carnival ripoff. There is nothing else in the film. Shirley MacLaine giggles halfway through this picture. I don't know what's going on in her career. I don't know why she would take a part like this. Anthony Hopkins, since he has nothing to do or a real character to play, you just notice his sotto voce mannerisms. Very bad.
You know what stuck out for me in this movie was the way they desperately tried to give characterizations to these people who had no real existence at all. For example, the Michael Brandon character, he has one speech. His parents were crushed by a semi-trailer truck. Then he moved to the North Woods. Then his family was wiped out by insecticides, you know. Then while we're crying over him, then we get another character, Bo Derek's father. What do they give him to make him seem like a character? He walks into this swinging weekend with a suitcase full of lobsters. It's just, it's totally, yeah, I thought, what's he doing with those lobsters? I mean, it has nothing to do with the scene.
Yeah, these are, again, not real people. A very mechanical movie, just that hello, 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 that kind of thing, not real people.
You're right.
At last, a good movie. Our next film is something quite special because it's a wonderful motion picture. But because of its subject and its title, it's having some trouble at the box office wherever it plays. The film is Resurrection, starring Ellen Burstyn as a woman who suffers a near-fatal car accident. In fact, she's clinically dead for a few minutes, and while dead, she has one of those visions of heaven, a pleasant vision, bright lights, and all of her dead relatives and friends at peace. That experience, needless to say, affects her profoundly, and Burstyn develops a special talent from it. An ability to heal, to work genuine miracles, to heal the lame through the power of love. She doesn't heal through a traditional appeal to God. She just speaks of the power of love, and that gets her into all sorts of trouble in her very conservative religious town. Another problem is her strained relationship with her father. Even though he's dying, he still refuses to make peace with her.
Daddy, you drove us all away from you. All of us. Mama into her silence, where she stayed until she died of grief. Sam to Vietnam, where they killed him. Daddy, listen. I want you to know that I still love you. And I can help you now. Honest, I can. I know that you know you're dying. And I know that you're afraid, but you don't have to be. See, when I had that accident, I died. I mean, just for a few minutes. But I saw it. And it's beautiful. It is. Everyone's there. Mama and Sam and Joe. And Mr. Condon, the grocer, and Mr. Stratton. Do you remember him? And Daddy, there's music. Bells and chimes. And you begin to feel like you understand everything. And you don't feel your body anymore. And there's this light, and it's so bright and loving, and you can feel it reaching out for you. And everybody that's there, Mama and Joe and Sam, everybody is helping you do it. And then pretty soon, you begin to understand that you're made of the same light.
It's rare that you see in an American movie that kind of emotional power these days. Burstyn is run out of town because she doesn't kowtow to the religious zealots there. She refuses to credit her miraculous powers to God. But before she leaves town, she and her ailing grandmother have a final heart-to-heart talk.
Goodbye, cousin. Goodbye, Kathy. You take care of you here. You too.
You all go on. I want my goodbye private. Well, seems like you had your own cavalry here, Trump.
Seems like.
They let you see him?
He didn't want to see me. I tried to see him, but he didn't want to.
Well, I expect you have some time to think about all this for a while.
Yeah. You know, when I was in high school, I read about Joan of Arc. Remember her? I was just thinking how crazy everything is, that she was burned for hearing voices, and I was almost got for not. Can't win for losing, huh?
You ain't lost nothing. God bless you, Trump.
What is it?
Well, I just got this here feeling this will be the last time we saw each other. In this world, anyways.
Well, you saved me a good place on the other side.
I'll save it.
I love you, Grandma.
Yes. That's it, ain't it? If we could just love each other as much as we say we love him, I expect there wouldn't be the bother in the world there is. I expect.
This film doesn't chicken out and back away from strong emotion. A lot of the film is just like that scene, deeply sincere, very emotional. That remark about loving other human beings as much as we profess to love God, that's at the heart of this film's provocative message. It's a refreshingly emotional story, beautifully acted by Ellen Burstyn, and yet it's proving to be a difficult film to sell to audiences, and that's too bad. However, some good news. Universal Pictures, which is distributing the film, is planning, we hear, a new campaign to promote the movie. And in the next couple of months, Resurrection will be making its way around the country. I think we both recommend it, and we recommend that you look for it.
I sure do. Do you remember that film a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, called Beyond and Back?
Yeah, it was one of our Dogs of the Week.
Right, a terrible exploitation picture about people who said that they had died briefly and gone out of their bodies, had spiritual experiences, came back, and now they had trouble grabbing doorknobs and things like that. Just ridiculous. Here is a serious, constructive, human, caring, loving film on the same subject. It's so rare to find a good American movie on issues like death and caring for other people and trusting them, and it was just refreshing for me to sit there and watch this film and experience it.
What I found particularly refreshing is, you know, they could have wrapped themselves under God's mantle. I mean, they could have really got involved in that traditional explanation of religious explanation. Instead, what they do is really provocative. Just like the grandmother says in that scene, if we would love each other as much as we profess to love God, maybe that would be God's will. That's the implication. You know, Hollywood makes a lot of godless films. I think that's what you were saying, that it's rare that we get a subject material like this. This is a very courageous film, well told, and provocative, not traditional. I'm impressed.
I hope that Ellen Burstyn is at least remembered at Academy Award time for a nomination for this performance, and I'm glad that Universal Pictures is going to make up a new campaign and bring it out again. It's probably going to be hard to find. It'll play in different markets around the country at different times, but it's sure worth looking out for.
Well, here's some films to look out for, but for a whole different reason. Spot the Wonder Dog. Time for Dogs of the Week, where we each pick the week's worst movies.
Well, Gene, my dog this week is called Invincible Devil, or at least the print I saw was titled Invincible Devil. What the movie is really called is anybody's guess. You know you're in trouble when you walk into the theater and the movie starts with a hand-lettered title card that's flashed on the screen while they play the same music. They usually play for that sign that says, "Ladies, hang on to your handbags. Your cooperation will help lessen their chances of being lost," right? After the title came off, the movie announces, "This is the first film ever made in stereophonic sound." Now, that would have been more impressive if the movie had been made in stereophonic sound, but it was not. Apart from that, Invincible Devil is another interchangeable kung fu movie with one new twist. At one point, the hero is attacked by 6 guys who clang cymbals together in his ears. Now, if they'd been in stereophonic sound, they might have been invincible.
Good addition there. Well, let's ring out the old year with my Dog of the Week, New Year's Evil, yet another mad slasher movie. This one is particularly cruel, telling the story of an irate husband who seeks revenge on his show business wife by terrorizing her on New Year's Eve as she hosts a punk rock midnight special type show. He threatens to kill a different person on the hour as each of the nation's time zones celebrates the new year. A nurse is stabbed repeatedly in the chest. 2 other women have their throats slashed, their breasts slashed. Finally, the creep hangs his wife in an elevator shaft. It's a horribly gruesome movie. Now, a couple of years ago, when we came up with this idea, Dog of the Week, we thought it would be kind of fun to knock off a couple of lousy films each week. And as recently as last year, our Dogs of the Year were pretty funny, but not lately. And for that, our regrets. In 1980, as we've said many times on this show, part of the movie industry has turned awfully sick. And our Dog of the Week feature, with pictures like New Year's Evil, sometimes gets transformed from a couple of laughs into a depressing warning. Let's hope that the new year brings us some silly bad movies and an end to all this cruelty.
Hear, hear. And so much for the dogs. Now let's take another look at the main movies on this program. The Jazz Singer stars Neil Diamond in the story of a middle-aged musician's adolescent crisis. Both Gene and I thought it was ridiculous and unbelievable, except for Lucy Arnaez's good performance, so we both vote no. We cannot recommend you see The Jazz Singer. Seems Like Old Times is the new Neil Simon comedy with Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase. We both thought it was a tired old rip-off of classic screwball comedies. Had 1 or 2 funny bits, but that's all, so 2 no's for that one. A Change of Seasons stars Shirley MacLaine, Bo Derek, and Anthony Hopkins in a change-your-partner sex comedy that is incredibly idiotic. 2 very, very strong no votes for that one. But finally, we both admired Ellen Burstyn in Resurrection, the story of a woman who can heal through the power of love. This is a very special film, and we both strongly recommend you look for it when it comes to your town.
Well, it seems to me the worst movie of the holiday season has to be
A Change of Seasons, right?
That's the one that I think is really awful. Change of Seasons. At least The Jazz Singer had Lucy Arnaez. Now, we've knocked a lot of holiday pictures. People still want to go to see films this time. What can we recommend? I think our top recommendation is for Raging Bull, the fighter movie. Jake LaMotta, played by Robert De Niro. A terrific performance by Robert De Niro. A lot of people have been objecting to this film, objecting to the violence in it, and all I can tell you is that's what the movie's about. It's about violence. How does it occur? From a city character, that's the only way he can express himself.
I agree with Raging Bull. It's a good picture. I think there's a good chance that Robert De Niro will win an Academy Award. Another picture I recommend for the holiday season is Robert Altman's Popeye, with two great performances. Robin Williams as Popeye, and Shelley Duvall was born to play Olive Oyl.
It's awfully good, I think, but we're sort of alone as critics. Maybe it's too surprising because it's sort of an adult Popeye rather than just a kiddie show. A film that I like for the holiday season, Any Which Way You Can, with Clint Eastwood and that wild orangutan named Clyde. We were talking earlier about a screwball comedy, and seems like Old Times wasn't it. This may be the screwball comedy for the holiday season.
We disagreed on that, and I still don't think it was a very good movie, but I think back with increasing affection upon Clyde. Another Christmas movie that I liked was 9 to 5, the screwball comedy about three secretaries battling it out with their male chauvinist pig boss. And the reason I liked it, because it was a very uneven movie, was because of the movie debut of Dolly Parton. I think she's going to be a major star.
She is wonderful in the film. If you go see it, that's, I think, what people will enjoy. And right now, the #1 best-selling holiday picture is in the country, Stir Crazy, with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in prison, and they don't want to be there. I liked Richard Pryor's performance in this film. I think that's why it's getting such big attention at the box office. I think Pryor's hysterically funny in the film. I recommend it.
I didn't like the second half. I can't recommend it, but on the other hand, there you go. There wasn't much this Christmas to see, so I guess the thing we're really on agreement on is Raging Bull.
That's the one to see. Well, that's it for this week. Sort of a disappointing finish to 1980, the holiday season, which I guess is sort of appropriate because this has not been a good year for American movies. However, next week, after a lot of hunting and scratching, Roger and I have each picked our top 10 favorite films of 1980, and we'll have those choices and some arguments about them next week on Sneak Previews. Until then, see you at the movies.
Funding for Sneak Previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.